This is a good place to both experience fantasy and reality. Beer, explosives, and food? Can't beat that. Well, gracias. So you just stand here in the street and random strangers bring you delicious foods. This is a great country.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la.
Colombia. Ordinarily, and for all too many years, when this country makes the news or appears in a film or a television drama, it's not for its looks, which are, I should say right up front, spectacular. It's not for its people, who are, everyone I've ever met anyway, warm, proud, generous, and fun. Or for its food, which is truly great.
I don't know what this is, but it's good. Food in this country, excellent.
I'm no stranger to this place. Generally speaking, it's a particularly vibrant mix of Spanish, European, Afro-Caribbean, and indigenous people. These are deep waters, my friends, that no news story or episode of Miami Vice has ever come close to navigating. It is and always has been a fiercely, fiercely proud country, and its people yearn to see international coverage of something other than cocaine and violence. But that isn't a legacy that's easy to ignore. Its decades of civil unrest have left vast swaths of Colombia relatively unknown, even to its own citizens. To reach a place previously considered a no-go area, I'll fly out of an airport in Villavicencio, 45 miles southeast of the capital city of Bogota. On first inspection, this is an airplane boneyard, where unwanted props from Romancing the Stone corrode artfully. But in reality, this sleepy hangar is an important gateway to the more impenetrable parts of the country. The remote settlements in the Amazon basin are cut off from the country with neither rail nor roads connecting them. There are only two ways in: either boat for several days downriver or aboard a jungle bus, which is what locals call the World War II era DC-3.
I've flown worse.
I've been brought here by Pablo Mora, a teacher at Medellin University and a particular enthusiast for this classic of Golden Age aviation.
You've taken this flight before?
Yes. Every time I have a chance, I come here and fly one. It's a romantic thing.
He sees the work that these hulking great airships and their pilots do as daredevil humanitarian missions for the more remote Colombians.
They have an in-flight movie.
No. Nor first class either.
What?
No.
The planes travel with their own mechanic to cobble together anything that might go wrong, and stuff can go wrong. The risk is that we'll be able to land but not take off again. So this guy is our return ticket out of the jungle. Our captain is Joaquin San Clemente, something of a legend in these parts, and his co-pilot, Captain Constanza Reyes.
It's mystical, and they develop this sensibility with the plane. There's no intel inside here. There's no software. They have GPS, but that's about it. It's beautiful, you know, they have to sense everything. They know when the sound of the plane is not right. It's just man and machine.
The weather is the big unknown around here. It's changeable enough to ground planes in remote places if they hang around for too long. We have to make one stop on the way to pick up more cargo. Vital cargo, by the way. The land we're passing over is beautiful and lush, but the life for those below has been anything but.
Colombia seems to be trapped in a
FARC
vicious
has
circle.
used the territory as a haven for kidnapping and drug.
Until recently, most of the news coming out of this part of Colombia was not good. It was a front line in the war on drugs, for lack of a better term, and Colombia's long struggle with the FARC, a Marxist guerrilla force financed by drug trafficking, kidnapping, and covert assistance from Venezuela. 50 years of very dirty war. The stakes not about drugs per se, but about the ability of ordinary Colombians to live without fear. We land in the jungle outpost of Miraflores in the southern province of Guaviare in the Amazonian Forest Reserve. The heavy presence of army and special police is a result of its strategic location and recent history as a one-time center of coca production. Farmers here would grow the stuff and make leaves into paste. Traffickers would come and buy it. The FARC had this area under its sphere of influence for years. 9 years ago, the government moved to expel the FARC, the traffickers, and any paramilitaries, with apparently much success. Overnight, however, its population shrank by 85%, and what remains struggles to survive.
So people here, you're telling me either were born here, or
Most of the people came from elsewhere. At the beginning, in the 1950s and 60s, they were escaping from the violence, from the political violence between the two parties in Colombia.
so if you were having problems in the city or in wherever you were from, you came out here.
Yeah,
So what did you do for a living out here?
cattle and doing some agriculture. And after that, the drug trade began and everything with the coca plantations. And
This climate's good for it?
yeah, it's very good. Since 1999, there was no police or army force here, so it was just occupied by the FARC. And then by the paramilitaries who tried to...
Yeah.
So that's when the real violence began.
So really the problems in this country pre-existed the drug trade.
What we say here is that the drug trade just made everything work. There's no judge here, there's few institutions here.
Right.
Basically, you know that the state is here just because the army is here. So I think here we're gonna make the major.
Oh yeah.
Anthony, this is the major.
Julio Cesar Gonzalez is the current mayor of Miraflores, which has seen much better and much worse days.
So how many people live in this town?
Around 1,500, 2,000 in the municipality. The FARC were in Miraflores for 20 years, and they were the central authority here.
If you're running a subsistence farm growing plantains and not much else, you're not eating particularly well, you're not particularly happy with the government, somebody comes along and offers you a nice machine gun and a cool scarf,
Yeah,
especially if you're 15, 16 years
Yeah.
old, that's a pretty attractive offer.
of course, it is.
Even if they say you'll probably be dead by the time you're 25.
is.
Come on.
It is, and they offer you a salary.
So what is the future of this town?
Hay varios programas del Estado ahora con la creación del DPS, Departamento para la Prosperidad Social, una que llama Jóvenes en Acción, que les apoya con estudio.
They're providing free education, and but there's a lot of potential in biodiversity and ecotourism as well.
What a lot of people say is, without the customer, there's no cocaine trade and there's no violence. right? So if the United States and Europe start buying cocaine,
That's so impossible that I can't think about it, about the situation where the demand is not going to be there.
but the demand in the States is down 40%.
As long as there is a market, there will be people ready to do it.
The United States spends how many billions of dollars a year paying for guns and uniforms, training, etc. Where should they be spending it?
I would say that the help is very important, but more important is to end the war on drugs. It's just, it doesn't work.
Here's my problem. If crack didn't exist, I would absolutely agree with you. But as a former coke addict and as a former crackhead, that is a problem.
The thing is that people think that if you think that drugs should be legalized, you're saying that they're good. No, we're not saying that, but we're just getting rid of one problem, the problem that the major has here.
You're also freeing up a lot of money that you could divert. towards-
We have two problems.
I'm with you, I agree.
One is drug addiction and the other is drug trafficking. We can get rid of one. We're not going to get rid of the other. We have to deal with it forever.
It's a beautiful country. The people here, everyone I've ever met has been really nice. Even the bad guys, charming.
That is true.
The food's delicious. Problem is, the United States will never legalize drugs. It will never happen. Complicated issues. So the good people of this town can thank us for bringing in their fresh supply of poker, cerveza, poker. Think nothing of it, gentlemen. It was really our pleasure.
Bogota, the country's capital, and an almost 2-mile-high city with new, lofty food ambitions, where previously a restaurant scene didn't really exist. Now, young restaurateurs such as musician-turned-chef Tomas Rueda are beginning to make a name for themselves in Colombia.
Stop, please. This is Palo Quemado. This is one of the biggest markets in Bogota. I love this place. It's very beautiful, the colors. My mom come here to buy flowers, my grandma also.
Did I mention that this city is over 8,000 feet up? Hence the altitude sickness I'm feeling. Not good. Tomas comes here a few times a week for an early breakfast, which I'm hoping will make me feel better. Palo Quemado Market has been running in one form or another since the 1940s.
This place is huge.
Want some juice?
Yeah, what do you have?
I love it, orange juice with carrot.
It's probably the healthiest thing I've had in a while.
Good for the high altitude. No? You
Yeah.
feel better?
I'm feeling better every hour.
Yeah?
First hour is killing me.
But you have a better face.
I didn't think I was going to make it out of the airport.
Most of the mornings, early in the morning, 5 or 6 in the morning, I climb the mountain.
Why?
Fresh air.
Okay.
You have to come with me.
Hell no. Ain't happening.
You wanna taste some arepa? This arepa is made with corn. Hola, 2 arepas, por favor. It's fantastic, I love it. Chao, pues.
Tucked away in the back corner of the fish market is a place that serves breakfast to the market's workers and shoppers. We're talking beef short ribs simmered in an oily broth with potatoes, salt, and scallions. Tomas swears by this stuff, a traditional breakfast soup from the Andean region.
There we go.
Ah, te tengo.
It's okay. Gracias.
Do you like chile?
I do.
Gracias. Sí, el ajicito nada más.
Yeah, now we're talking.
This is perfect when you have a good party last night.
I was just going to say, this is hangover food.
Perfect.
I know hangover food well, and this is good. It's a nice hunk of meat in there.
Yeah.
Good broth.
Yes.
Stock, good. So what's this dish called?
Beef stock caldo de costilla.
Broth of rib broth.
Yeah, it's a rib.
Yeah.
With potato, of course. Everything with potato.
Caldo de costilla con papas.
Costilla, exacto. Very good Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish. I speak a little Mexican.
Bogota. Back in the 90s, a very dangerous and violent place to be. Today, not so much. Today, in my repeated experiences here, kind of awesome. La Candelaria is the recently renovated Old City, where I meet up with Hector Abad, distinguished author and one of the most important and supremely talented writers in Latin America. Hector's recent work, a memoir called Oblivion, is about his father, who was killed for his outspoken attempts to change things for the better.
So, first of all, where are we?
Puerta Falsa. This is a place where many Bogotanos come to eat something in the middle of the morning or in the middle of the afternoon.
The tamales here are made with chicken and pork belly, combined with vegetables, rice, and masa, wrapped in a banana leaf and slow cooked for hours. This place has been serving chocolate completo to the politicians of nearby Plaza Bolivar for a couple of 100 years.
Here are the tamales.
It's beautiful. It is a thing of beauty, isn't it?
Let's see if it is like my mother's.
Oh, well, that's a high standard.
I suppose it is not.
I was just in Miraflores yesterday.
Yes.
What economy there was entirely drug-based economy. I mean, now the drugs are gone, there is no economy. It's a ghost town. It's a military and people sitting there staring at the space waiting for the beer to arrive, best I can understand. Tell me something hopeful.
I think we are becoming more and more conscious that this past decades of violence have been absolutely useless, and that we have to change many things. So I think it's not as good as my mother's, I'm sorry.
Well, it never is. If you remove cocaine from the equation, if you remove the drug trade as a financial engine, you would still have serious divisions over ideology here. Is that improving?
Things are changing in a good direction, but very slowly, I think. You know, 10 years ago in Medellin, they killed 7,500 people every year. And 3 years ago, this number came to 700 people killed in Medellin in the year. So the situation changed.
Right.
I have only questions. I have no answers. I'm so sorry. If I were the president, I don't know what to do.
You wouldn't know what to do?
No, I wouldn't.
To suggest that a nation should expand its social services, do its best to lift people out of poverty, to provide medical care for everyone. As you well know, that may be in the minds of many as the same as the communists. Are those as dangerous and potentially deadly ideas as they used to be?
Well, 25 years ago, my father was killed just because he was asking for these basic things like clean water, a glass of milk, and an arepa for every child. We still don't have that, and we need that. Now, we in Colombia, maybe we're trying. I think there are some people here, even in the government, who are working for that.
Bogota is the largest city in Colombia and the economic heart of the country. About a fifth of the population lives here, many of them very well, but some not so well. It's a city with a marked north-south divide. Chef Tomas Rueda's Tabula and Donostia restaurants sit side by side in the Macarena neighborhood, where the city center meets the north. The lunch Tomas is serving us here at Tabula is defined more by high-quality fundamentals than by high-concept theories. If there's a theme here, it's that ingredients this good, meticulously prepared, are the essence of great eating.
It's a beautiful space. So, how's the restaurant business in Bogota?
It's a very good business. A lot of people with money, they don't know how to cook.
Nobody cooks at home. Maybe their cook does, so they eat out a lot.
Yeah, it's a new part of our culture. Everybody wants to go to restaurants.
So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what, traditional casual food?
Yeah.
A few fine dining, white tablecloths serving what, French or continental or Italian, but this is new.
Yeah, it's a new stuff, it's a new business, it's a new world. But I think the two great values from Colombia food, the mixtures of the culture, yeah?
Right.
Black people, Indian people, white people. That mixture is beautiful. And the other one is all of this region, all the mountains, all the valleys, all the rivers, all the sea. We are like a big farm, a beautiful farm to send all these products to the world. I believe more in a beautiful carrot than a great recipe, yeah?
Right.
This one is a crab salad.
Right.
And this one is a homemade pasta.
Thin sheets of handmade pasta are filled with labneh cheese and finished with a chorizo sauce.
So, you used to be in a band. You used to be a musician.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm still.
Still. So, what happened, man? How did you go from music to restaurants?
Rock and roll don't give me money.
Good.
It's good, yeah, it's really good.
Well, it's great that business is good because generally speaking, the only worse idea that I think I'll try to make a living making music is I think I'll make a living like opening a restaurant. I see why that's so popular. Good stuff.
Thank you, Tony.
Tomas's take on ossobuco uses beef shank instead of veal, which is braised overnight with vegetables, wine, and broth in a wood-fired oven.
Oh, whoa. It's huge. Yes. Oh, yeah.
You don't need the knife, only with the spoon.
You're right.
Sorry.
Now, do you cure this first in salt or
No.
dry it, salt it?
No.
Just fresh,
Yes.
delicious. So you never get this off your menu. You'll have to keep this on your menu forever, right?
Forever.
Yeah.
Oh, the best part.
Mama didn't raise no fool.
Santiago de Cali, or just Cali as everybody calls it in these parts, is a city in the southwest of Colombia known for its proximity to the Pacific coast and its semi-tropical temperatures. But I'm not really here for the climate. I'm here for tejo. It involves alcohol and explosives. Colombian Mario Galeno, expat Will Holland, and their bandmates are to be my guides to this ancient and traditional Colombian sport.
Thanks, man.
How do you play this game? I guess that's how it's done. What do you call this object?
El tejo.
El tejo.
Tejo.
Hence the name of this.
Exactly, tejo.
I should be good at this. I've been throwing pots into the dish sink from across the room for years.
You win more points if you get it in the middle without hitting them.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but that doesn't sound like any fun.
Everyone has a different style, it seems. So you got to do like one step and then another and swing.
I didn't think that style's gonna work for me.
After some early success, it turns out we all pretty much suck at this.
Not enough beer, that's my problem.
Time to bring in some outside muscle.
We're going to mix in now the experts.
Ahí nos vamos turnando entre todos.
Who am I with? I'm over here with these guys.
Tero por la ventana.
See you on my team? Holy crap, 2 in a row? This is dismaying. Oh, no, wait, one of those guys had to be on my team, right?
So the guy in the white stripy shirt, his name is El Pollo Viejo, which is
The old chicken.
the old chicken. Yeah.
I need a poultry name. He's calling himself the old chicken. I shall be the enormous cock. Chicken dude is killing it. Yeah, he's every time. Must be the chicken. That's what I'm talking about. But I wanted something to blow up.
Teja is hungry work, but the kitchen here is up to the challenge, making a Colombian picada. This is a huge selection of fried pork, pork rib, steak, cassava, potatoes, and deep-fried plantain.
I smell food. Oh! Oh, thank you. Oh, that's good. You know, beer, explosives, and food? Can't beat that.
Esta que es la papita criolla.
Yes! Nice.
If Bogota is Colombia's financial heart, then Cali is its shaking hips. People here like their music. My Tejo buddies, Mario and Will, are the founders of a collective called Onda Tropica. Their idea was to reinterpret the tropical music heritage of Colombia. What often sounds like salsa in style is actually cumbia. If there's one type of music that can be classified as distinctly Colombian, this is it. Cumbia draws on the music of the African, indigenous, and European mix that makes up the country. So Will and Mario created something a long way from the pop music that's a staple here. They brought together musicians who'd been famous on the cumbia scene in the 50s and 60s and matched them up with younger counterparts. As if the impressive amount of fried meat we ate at the Tejo Courts wasn't enough, we go for dinner at one of the band's favorite spots.
The recording that we made, which we did for 3 weeks in Medellin, had 42 musicians, so it was a big sort of ensemble. And there were musicians from, well, I think the youngest was 25, maybe, and the oldest was 82.
So, old school and new school mixed, is that an oversimplification?
Yeah, that was the idea, like, so we can meet, not only doing music, but like also exchanging lots of like information about how music was made, how music was recorded,
right.
What was the spirit of the music.
So that's the idea, it's to get back to the roots.
First up, the Cali version of ceviche. Cooked shrimp slathered in mayonnaise, ketchup, and Worcestershire sauce. Essentially a 70s shrimp cocktail.
Where?
Native to the mangroves of the Pacific coast, the piangua mollusk is a staple used in everything from tamales to stews.
So it's rice and like a concha, some kind
Piangua,
of
the mollusk.
it's not a clam.
It's like a rock mollusk, pretty much.
It's delicious. Wow.
So this is like pilau, specifically from the Pacific. This is pargo rojo, like red snapper. Steamed shrimp.
Oh, very cool.
And some nice green tomatoes.
You always find them, patacones everywhere.
Patacones is
Plantain, like a big
Plátano.
plantain. With all of this food, you have to accompany it with some beach.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
It's the best way to just handle this.
From cane sugar.
Yeah, cane sugar, like homemade.
Like a rural firewater.
So I'm just gonna take one right now.
So, what are your favorite places in Colombia?
Colombia is like 5 countries in one. When you come to Colombia, you definitely have to go to some Pacifico experience. It either would be in Cali or go straight to the coast. You have to have like an Atlantic or Caribbean experience, Rio Hacha. You definitely have to have like a mountain experience, which would be like Medellin or Bogota.
Right.
Another would be like just go to the Amazon, you know, like just go to the jungle and just check out what's going on there.
So I'm planning a vacation.
Yeah.
Should I come to Colombia? Should I come to Cali?
Most definitely, man. Like, you will find great music, great partying, great food, beautiful views, beautiful nature around.
Yeah. Look, the country's beautiful. We know this,
Yeah.
okay? But most Americans, they're afraid to come. Is Colombia any more dangerous for a tourist than Rio or Puerto Rico or
South Central.
I mean, my impression is no. You know, when you go to Rio, you don't wear a big watch, you don't wear an expensive suit, you don't behave like an idiot, and life is going to be good.
Like, maybe I've been lucky, but I've never been either mugged or kidnapped or robbed. Most people will tell you, like, we had an amazing time. We heard some great music. We met some beautiful girls or guys. We drank some great drinks. And we just hung out and we went to the beach and it was great and we want to come back, you know?
I mean, there's a lot of heart here. People feel very, very deeply about things. It is the most welcoming country in Latin America that I've been.
Salud, 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 salud.
I leave the subtropics for more extreme climes. Rio Hacha is a city 600 miles northeast of Cali on Colombia's Caribbean Sea. The Guajira is the most northern part of South America and borders Venezuela in the east. It's home to the native semi-nomadic people of Colombia called the Wayuu. The Wayuu are a tough, autonomous tribe who've never taken sides with either the government, the FARC, or the paramilitaries. As a result, they remain independent politically and live pretty much by their own code. I'm meeting Juan Pablo Mayorga, a chef from Bogota who comes to this spot on a regular basis.
This is not another country. This is Colombia, but it's a very different part of Colombia.
The Guajira is a very rugged terrain, but it's desert. There's not that much water. So that's part of why the Spaniards, they weren't able to colonize them.
You've been coming here for some time.
I became very interested in Guajira because I began dealing with fresh fish and fresh lobster, fresh shrimp, and for goat meat to take back to Bogota.
Is it good?
It's very good.
Goats are important to the Wayuu as they're used for food, for bartering, and even as dowry payments. Rancho owners come to the old market in Rio Hacha to sell, slaughter, and cook goat in the mornings. Today we're having frichi.
Frichi is a traditional dish from the Wayúus. It consists of the tripes, the heart, the intestines, the offal of the goat. So it's pretty fresh because they slaughter them back here. And this is where the Wayuu women cook it. So this is really fresh and traditional.
So this is breakfast?
This is breakfast for the frichi.
And there's a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah. We have heart, we have a little bit of meat, of ribs.
Now,
and it's interesting because this one, it's for breakfast and it's almost done where they slaughter. They have to eat this fresh.
Fresh, this is delicious. Not fresh, this would not be so good.
No.
This is where I say something that takes us seamlessly from a discussion about fresh meat to me hauling my aging carcass onto an ATV, Sugar Bear style. Tribal members of the Wayuu have dual citizenship and could cross the border into Venezuela to live or trade there whenever they need to. Luckily for us, it means that cheap gas is easy to come by in these parts. There are no stations as such, you just keep an eye out for the cans.
Most of this gasoline is from Venezuela. It's extremely cheap. I think it's like 50 cents a gallon. The government subsidizes a lot of it. They're able to buy Venezuelan gasoline and sell legally Venezuelan gasoline in Colombia.
Having taken on as much gas as can be mouth-siphoned in one sitting, we're off again. Let me set the scene. It's hot out here, desert hot, and we plan to ride 3 hours along the coast to our lunch spot. And I ate salty goat innards for breakfast, and I refuse to wear a helmet or sunblock. We avoid wild donkeys and goats and get lost more than a few times. So a little heat stroke leads to a lot of horsing around, and we decide to open these puppies up. Well, a momentary concussion is seldom a good thing. Waking up in Colombia on a beach almost always is. Having abandoned the epic ride, we're back where we started, at Mayapo, in the Guajira, at the Blue Sea restaurant.
How come you're all clean?
I changed.
You brought a change of clothes.
Yes.
I'm hurting up. I'm feeling it every minute, every hour, every month and year of my age.
So you ready for some cazuela?
Yes. And I trust it will make me feel all
Much better. It's a good end to a fun day.
Man, you can't ask for better scenery. It's beautiful here.
A beer?
I need the anesthetic qualities of the local firewater.
That's probably a really good idea.
That's gonna be a good start for the night.
Good start. I'm done. Oh, man. That dog has the right idea. See, I would be very happy if that was me right now. You know, just like laying down in the sand with my chin out like that. Man, it's so beautiful here. Who comes here?
It's basically tourists from Colombia and a lot of backpackers that are making their way up to the northern Guajira.
Right. But, I mean, we saw one tourist all day. Man, it's nice. You can really just get completely off the grid. You know?
This used to be a fisherman village.
There are definitely worse places to eat seafood than beachside in a fishing village, and the strength of this stew, cazuela de mariscos, lies in the variety of fish available.
It's basically like a fish chowder,
right?
Made with shrimp, clams,
right?
Chipi chipi, which is a small kind of clam, lobster, fish,
yeah,
conch.
Oh, I need it bad. Very clear sky for the Caribbean. Oh yeah. Oh man,
it's always accompanied by lemon, coconut rice, and plantain. Some hot sauce in there.
Some good food, a few shots of aguardiente, the sounds of waves in the background, a nice sunset. These are things, in my experience, that will set most things right.
Thank you to Guajira.
To Guajira and Colombia. Salud, cheers. We had good fun.
We had good fun. Cheers.
I always find Colombia encouraging. They face problems more extreme and seemingly more intractable than many of us can imagine. And yet, every time I come here, it gets better. Don't get me wrong. Problems, serious problems, remain, which is particularly heartbreaking in a country So beautiful, so generous, so proud, so eager to love and be loved back. I come back to my own country from Colombia and I think, if they can fix that, if they can make things better, then surely there's nothing we can't do. For now, however, I'll settle for fixing my headache. That hurt.
I'm told you're a man who can help me. Sometime in mid-19th century, 1850s, my great-great-great-grandfather, Jean Bourdain, emigrated to South America. Was reported to have died here. Might have been a seeker of utopian dreams. You know, my aunt used to tell stories he was into arms smuggling, or who knows, you know, no idea.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la.
For most people, Paraguay is an empty space on the map of Latin America. A country of only 6 million, where a vast percentage of the land is steaming hot jungle or a huge scrub desert known simply as the Chaco. Only a few large cities offer a respite from the oppressive heat.
A ti, bella Asuncion, yo te distingo, vibrando toda mi alma de emoción. Yo soy dulce Asuncion, igual que
1,000 miles upriver from the Atlantic Ocean sits Asuncion, Paraguay's remote capital city.
es grande Paraguay, mi gran cariño.
Known largely for being a post-war refuge for fleeing Nazis and a long line of extremely unpleasant dictators, this place, of all the places in the world, is where my great-great-great-grandfather, Jean Bourdain, disappeared without explanation sometime in the 1850s.
I'm told you're a man who can help me.
Hi.
How do you do, Pedro?
How do you do, Tony?
do?
May I call you Tony?
Please.
You are for the first time in the country?
First time in Paraguay, yes.
Lido Bar in Asuncion has always been like the central switchboard, a gathering place. Ladies in orange vests cook and serve old-school Paraguayan working-class food to people from every walk of life.
This place is very unique in Asuncion.
Yeah?
I've been here for more than 50 years.
All right, let's get something to eat. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Empanadas de carne, big envelopes of dough filled with beef, onion, and hard-cooked egg. Deep-fried to perfection. Cattle is the big business of this country. It used to be cattle and smuggling. These days, it's still cattle and some smuggling. You see a lot of beef, is what I'm saying.
Ooh, that's good. This country is a mystery to most people. What little we know of the country generally comes from Nazis and Germans hiding in Paraguay from war crimes. I mean, do you think that's undeserved reputation?
I don't think it's fair.
You don't think
Paraguay
it's fair?
is a nice country. Paraguay is a beautiful country.
Pedro is a private investigator, one of a team of people I've sent out looking for the mysterious lost Bourdain.
What kind of investigations are you called upon to do?
Normally is counterfeiting.
This is sort of the counterfeiting capital of the world. In the old days, it is said that much of this counterfeiting had partners in the government. Not so much anymore?
I rather don't answer that. I mean, I'm not a politician, and I live in here, so.
General Alfredo Stroessner was the last of his kind in Paraguay. Of German heritage, he ruled the country until 1989 with a quiet Bavarian charm. But behind the scenes was another thing. Utilizing an outfit of SS-trained secret police referred to as the hairy-footed ones, he tortured and tossed dissidents out of helicopters over the jungle, and the list goes on. Under Stroessner, 1 in 4 Paraguayans is said to have cooperated, willingly or not, as paid informers on their fellow citizens.
It's quite a history in this country. Crazy, tragic, violent.
Let me put it this way. Things are changing a lot. And now, things are getting straight.
Sometime in the mid-19th century, 1850s, Jean Bourdain emigrated to South America, first in Argentina, but apparently came here. That's really almost all I know for sure. Did he die by the sword? Did he die of old age? Did he die of syphilis? I have no idea. I'd like to know. I'd love to find a gravesite. That would be great. You know, my father died at 57. His father at, I think, in his 20s, I believe. I'll be 58 in June. I think I am the longest living male Bourdain in possibly ever.
So you're lonely in the world?
I am lonely in the world, yes. If I could solve the mystery of the elusive Jean Bourdain, that would make me very happy. By the way, it would be terrific if you found out that he owned a huge ranch in the Chaco and they've been waiting for his relatives to claim his property. Nah, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm trying to make some sense of this country. You lived here how long?
I'm since 22 years, too long maybe. What a strange and nice country.
Go to Paraguay, find a German to show you around. Not so crazy or unrepresentative. People came to this country from everywhere to, as Emerson called it, make their own world.
Peter, I'm Tony.
Nice to meet you.
So, what's good to eat here?
I suppose you want something Paraguayan.
Yes.
Bife coca. It's arroz, rice with fried beef, with the egg on top.
Oh, done it. I'm there. Good.
And there is a soup whose name is bori bori. That's very, very old Paraguayan stuff. Little corn balls.
Well, that looks good. It looks very good.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
I'm trying to make some sense of this country. You lived here how long?
22 years.
Why'd you come here in the first place?
I was born in East Germany. And East Germany, that meant you will never go out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then in '89, the wall break down and say, wow, you will go.
I haven't seen anything of this country yet. But what I read was the world's backwater filled with bombed-out banks that had been looted, institutions that didn't work, everyone carried a gun. It was like the Wild West, but poorer. It's not that anymore?
A bit of this is true. I, by myself, got a 45 on my head last week. That's pretty common stuff for me.
Seldom in the history of the world have I seen any country where one after the other you've had absolutely the most maniacal, insane, suicidal group of piss-pot dictators century after century.
You are right. Even in the Stroessner times, the better part of Paraguayans was behind him. Paraguayans are very, very easy to influence. And this is, I believe, unchanged until a short time ago. Now there is a growing middle class, better education than before, and that makes that people say no.
How was the soup?
I liked it, yes. Was the way my wife cooks it. I like it better with chicken, but chicken is more for Saturday.
Paraguay was a very poor country. The Spaniards came because they thought there was a lot of silver in the area. They found nothing, so they lost interest in Paraguay.
This is the only country in Latin America where the indigenous language is the official language.
They talk Guarani automatically. I'm married to a Paraguayan woman, and when her fathers come in, they automatically talk Guarani, and I'm more or less out.
Proudly mestizo society.
Yes.
Was it the Francia?
Yeah, El Supremo.
El Supremo, gotta love it.
A nearly 200-year succession of dictators began in 1811, when José Gaspar Rodríguez de Francia declared himself El Supremo for life. De Francia insisted Paraguay become a mestizo, mixed-race society.
Paraguayans are neither Spanish nor Indians. We are mestizos.
Yeah. El Supremo forbid marriages between whites and whites. He produced the mestizos by force.
Today, 95% of Paraguayans are of mixed Spanish and Guarani blood.
And we usually speak the two languages.
Right. So Central Market?
Mercado Cuatro.
Cuatro. This is the big one?
The biggest one, the most popular one.
I'm hungry. What's good here?
We opted for the soap from the Mandi'i fish. It's a little catfish. And, okay, the saying is that it makes man very powerful.
What's he got over there? That looks good.
Gnocchi and stew. There was a good Italian influence in Paraguay, so maybe this stew comes from this side. Colonists from all over the world.
So you invite them, give them the catfish soup, make the tart, and beef food.
Mario, could you pass me the sopa paraguaya, the Paraguayan soup?
That's soup?
Yeah. Soup. It's very unique.
Our dictator Lopez, his favorite soup was a corn soup. And one day he ordered his favorite soup, and the cook, when he opened the pot, it was a cake.
Paraguay has not been noted for its history of kinder, gentler leaders. In the 1800s, two generations of Lopez, father and son, one dictator after the other, certainly left their marks on this country.
Lopez was pretty much known that for putting a wrong stamp on a letter, you get shot. So the cook didn't want to get shot. He showed up in front of Lopez and said, "This is Paraguayan soup, sopa paraguaya." And the dictator ate it, and he liked it. And a bit later, the entire country ate it.
It's like cheesy cornbread.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good meal. So this was the house, or one of the houses, of the notorious Madame Lynch.
Right, exactly.
Journalist, poet, and author Guido Rodriguez Alcala has written books on Paraguay's history.
Now, who exactly was Madame Lynch? A murky background, would you say?
There's a lot of talk about that. Somebody say he was a great woman, or he was a very evil one.
She came over on the famous trip from France.
Right.
Succeeding de Francia in the 1840s, Lopez Sr. reversed many of Paraguay's isolationist policies. He invited foreigners to settle here and built one of South America's first railways. Its steam engines taken out of service only a few years ago. and he sent his son, Francisco Solano Lopez, to Europe.
In his mission, his father had sent him out to get, what, arms?
Arms and technicians, British engineers and machinery.
Junior, by most contemporary accounts, was an idiot.
So he came back with a mistress, Madame Lynch.
Yes.
Which Dad wasn't too happy about.
Right. He was very traditional and wanted his son to marry a Paraguayan woman and do everything by the book.
Right.
Paraguay's soon-to-be first mistress, Madame Eliza Lynch, was the already married daughter of an Irish doctor. Ambitious, social climbing, fond of nice things.
Clothes imported from France. They say she brought to Paraguay the first piano. And there were parties here.
He showed Madame Lynch to his father, and his father was upset. So she was put aside and...
kept as a mistress.
And that was the way Paraguayan society tried to treat her. And she wanted to be treated as the...
princess.
Yes.
Tell me about Madame Lynch's famous boat trip.
On one of her more notorious ventures as hostess, Madame Lynch organized a grand outing to the new French colony at Nouveau Bordeaux.
She invited all of society to join her.
Right.
A magnificent river steamer was engaged for the party.
And well, there were some tensions between the Paraguayan ladies and Madame Lynch.
Once on board, as the story goes, those mean bitches treated their hostess like so much trash.
And so she got upset and threw off board all of the food which they were supposed to eat.
She had it all thrown in the river?
Yes.
Then she ordered the captain to stop the boat and let her guests just sit there in that jungle heat for hours.
Throwing tubs of caviar, whole roasted pigs into the river in front of these starving aristocrats. Somehow that pleases me. Going back to the very beginnings, various groups with stars in their eyes came here seeking to create a utopia along ideological lines. A Mennonite paradise, repopulate Latin America with Aryan Germans, British, Italians, I mean, you had everybody.
Yes, it started with the Jesuit colonies.
Yep, the New Bordeaux. I had a great-great-great-grandfather come over to Paraguay around the 1850s.
Right.
Might have been himself a seeker of some kind of utopian dreams.
But they were originally from France.
From France, yes.
What city, do you know?
My great-great-grandfather was from near Bordeaux. So I'm curious about this whole episode of the settlement of Nouveau Bordeaux.
The Paraguay River, still, as it was 150 years ago, the country's main artery. A thoroughfare for transporting people and goods.
So who lives out there? Like all the people we see fishing on the riverbanks, they fishing for dinner?
Most of them are fishing for dinner. Call them poor people. But what is poor? They decide by themselves to live here. They could go to Asuncion and start working on a construction place tomorrow.
Peter has organized a trip upriver to see New Bordeaux. What was hoped would be a new France in the Chaco.
fish we bought today, 14 kilo.
Right.
That's half a month's salary, and you get with a bit of good luck in one night.
Right.
Outside of the cities, Paraguay is, of course, sparsely populated. Indigenous groups, a few settled Europeans, Mennonites, Germans, and every so often, a fishing lure and shotgun salesman.
Don Ramon.
Peter, what are the shotguns for? Bandits, varmints,
Johan deer and water pig, capybara.
That's a peacemaker. Any rogue Nazis we could shoot? No?
I am tempted by the offer of a cheap shotgun for sale, and it figures Peter would know this guy. But reason wins out.
I don't think we're going to buy a shotgun today. Me, beer, shotgun, hot sunny day, and producer, that's not a good mix.
Unlike Madam Lynch's guests, I'm making damn sure I'm eating on this boat trip.
Ah, the most important part of any meal, cold, frosty beverages.
You already have one.
I started early. Here. Cheers. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Grilled fish in a mango salsa.
You have the two most appreciated fish here on the table of Paraguay. That's the catfish surubí.
And that?
That's the dorado, the golden fish.
Oh, the dorado, of course, yes. Ooh, that's tasty. Ooh, that's nice. So I'm curious about this whole episode of the settlement of Nouveau Bordeaux.
There came about 400 people. They were supposed to be about 1,000. They were supposed to be, most of them, farmers. But just 86 were farmers.
Who were the other people?
They were tailors, they were shoemakers, musicians.
Teachers and artists, and they was put in the jungle and left by himself.
Right. Why here, of all of the places in the world? People talk about the Chaco as a hell. I mean, it's hot here. It's dry, it's wet, it's fetid, it's difficult.
Big mosquitoes, and you have all the ticks and all kind of vermin.
A flat land of cactus and thorns and misery and cannibals.
There was the Indians, the Guayacuru coming down the river and killing everybody. There was the Lengua, who, if you entered the country, you are good food.
Right. Did the Paraguayans ever see this as a utopia?
No, I'm sure not. What we have ahead is Nueva Bordeaux.
Wait a minute, that?
This.
Wow, it's kind of not how I pictured it. Doesn't look like Bordeaux to me.
There's nothing much left of Nouveau Bordeaux. I'm told a small museum of artifacts. The site where the colony once briefly existed is now called Villa Hais.
The men who contracted them was given money for each settler.
Perhaps there was a communication breakdown somewhere, and he might have told the Paraguayans that I'm bringing you the finest farmers France has to offer. And he might have told these Frenchmen, they're going to give you free property. You don't have to do anything. You'll live like kings. It's a land.
Possible.
Just reach up in the trees and fruit and gold bars are dropping.
In fact, they was thrown out in the coast and say, here you are, that's your land, go ahead.
These poor French guys show up.
Right.
Lopez Sr., and the government kept their side of the bargain. They provided them with
Yes.
houses,
Right.
equipment.
Tools and animals and everything.
My aunt used to have one of these. Make pressed sandwiches, I think. And that's it. Okay, now dig, grow.
The settlers quickly discovered that farming is hard work and that the conditions in the Chaco in no way resembled the new France of their dreams.
That was a big snake.
So they get broke and they decide to leave the colony.
How many French were left at the end of the new Bordeaux experiment? Did any stay?
Some of them, but few.
All right. Any thoughts or hopes that Jean Bourdain ended his life here, leaving me a vast, unclaimed stake in what is now prime cattle country, turns quickly to dust.
So, you guys have some information, perhaps, on the elusive Jean Bourdain, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he did here. Of course, I'm hoping for something, you know, extremely glamorous. A river pirate, gun runner, drug smuggler. Maybe he died in the saddle. Maybe he died happy. Maybe he was like Colonel Kurtz, living out in the bush, surrounded by adoring indigenous women. I don't know. You know, if he was a masseur for Madame Lynch, I guess I'd be let down.
I contact with another historians and genealogists around the world, and the history of your family is very interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, your family, your grandfather, Jean Bourdain, came to Montevideo following the sun.
Okay, the facts as I know them so far, I think, are this. My great-great-great-granddad, Jean, his son, also named Jean, came to Montevideo, Uruguay to live with his uncle.
1850, Jean Bourdain moves to Asuncion.
This is the document that we have showing him arriving.
There he is.
In that time, he works with a chapelier.
With a hat maker.
Hat maker? I'm pretty sure he said hat maker, which I have to say disappoints me like a lot.
And here you see chapelier.
The whole elusive wing of mysterious South American Bourdains were Project Runway contestants of their day.
In 1855, Lopez's son arrived to Asuncion.
Right, with Madame Lynch?
With Madame Lynch.
Madame Lynch was fond of things like French couture.
Yes, yes, and that changed the way of dress in Asuncion.
Madame Lynch might have been good for business.
I'm trying to put this in a light I can be enthusiastic about, like how clearly forward-thinking my relatives were.
His customers, as a hat maker, the very people who treated Madame Lynch with such utter contempt, did they live in the colonial homes, the old mansions that we see still in Asuncion, that type of residence?
Yes.
Times were changing in South America, too, in those days, and society ladies craved the latest in au courant French fashion. There was money to be made. I'm bummed.
Short after this episode with the New Bordeaux Group came the Triple Alliance War.
Jean Bourdain died in 1858.
Yes, before.
It was a good time to die because this way he hadn't to join this horrible war.
He'd missed the war.
Yeah. The old Lopez died, the young Lopez got in power.
Our man becomes president.
Yes, Francisco Lopez.
Absolutely the most maniacal, megalomaniacal, pisspot dictator.
You are right.
He was rather unkind to his siblings.
His two brothers were tortured and killed.
Right.
And the sisters were jailed, taken into tiger cages.
Tiger cage.
Tiger cages. And the mother was given some beating.
Right.
60-something.
Your 60-something-year-old mother
Yeah.
was flogged and beaten in front of him. Not a nice man.
He believed that he had a chance to get married with the daughter of the Imperator of Brazil.
Brazil, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah. He was refused in very unflattering terms.
Thanks presumably to Lopez Jr.'s expansionist ambitions, he dragged Paraguay into the Triple Alliance War.
He essentially challenged all three neighbors
Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay
to war. This doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
In what would become the bloodiest war in Latin America's history, hundreds of thousands of Paraguayans died. When Lopez ran out of adults, he sent children into the field, dressed only in rags, armed with sticks painted to look like guns.
My great-grandfather was a 10-year-old boy, and he was dressed like a girl, because otherwise he was going to be enrolled in the army.
Lopez, eventually, he was hunted down. Madame Lynch survived.
Yes, she survived.
But with her money, I mean, she was allowed to keep her possessions.
Yes.
In history, it's hard to find a more disastrous or more cruel or pointless campaign, it would seem.
When all was said and done, as much as 60% of the population and 90% of the men of this country were dead.
The survivors were just like 50 or 40,000 people. So that's why you could easily understand why there was nothing here for 100 years.
Jean Bourdain dies here.
Yes. Before the Triple Alliance War.
An adult natural of France by the name of Juan Bourdain.
Right, cause of death?
Not
Right.
specified here.
Is there a gravesite?
We're looking.
We are looking for.
So, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry.
You know you want it. It's late, you've had a few, no, you've had a lot. You want something greasy, savory, juicy, and nasty.
This is it, the legendary lomito.
Right, that's what today's people eat in the streets of Asuncion.
An egg, a little runny, please. Some kind of meat like beef patty thing. Throw on your lettuce and tomato. 2 sauces, no idea what they are, and I frankly don't care. Soy sauce, I think, too, of course, because, yes. Layer it like the ruins of ancient Troy. Egg on top of cheese, on top of meat.
Thank you.
Now get in my stomach now.
Sandwiches. Awesome.
Awesome, good.
Good awesome. All my greasy meat dreams have come true. That's good.
And at the last moment, and the last thing I give a steaming loaf about anymore is my long-dead relatives. I mean, I am over it. Here comes news of the big breakthrough.
I talked with the historian, and he said, it looks like your great-grandfather. What he was merchandising, it was definitely not hats.
Willie?
We have here Jean Bourdain.
Right.
And what is he bringing? 200 boxes of fireworks.
Fireworks?
Fireworks.
Like firecrackers?
There is not even more than 200 or 300 wealthy families who sometimes in a birthday would crack a little bit.
Uh-huh. So
That's
are you
weapons.
suggesting something untoward?
Weapons.
Weapons?
Yeah.
He was a merchant of death. Awesome. You know, my aunt always said he was a gun runner. We figured she was full of shit. I mean, she also said she was in the resistance, you know, but everybody in France said that. Arms. So was he ever a hat maker? Was this a cover job? Was he a hat maker / arms?
Are all these local researchers, historians, and geniuses on the money here? Was great-great-great-grampy an arms dealer?
So, what hat maker needs 200 tons of gunpowder? I've got you now, Jean Bourdain. I've got you now.
Or was he simply a party supplier, selling fine French hats and little firecrackers to school kids? I don't know what to believe.
And in 1958, unfortunately, he died.
Right.
And he was buried here, 2 miles from here, in Recoleta, the rich people's cemetery.
Yeah.
We can pretty well say on which area he remains. He is there.
Wow. Well, I guess we'll have to go look, huh?
Definitely, yeah.
Sorry, little buddy, there's no escaping it. Paraguay loves their beef.
It's a perfect ratio. A lot of meat, a little bit of vegetables. Perfect. Oh, whoa. That's good.
This is the Estancia Cora Rodeo, a sprawling ranch bigger than some of the countries I've traveled to, and it's been in the family going all the way back to the Triple Alliance War.
Hard life?
No,
Good life.
We are pretty happy here. We have everything.
20 years ago, the Chaco was not used. And the last years, it's booming.
Where's the boom come from?
We are the 2nd biggest soybean exporter, the 8th biggest cattle exporter. Paraguay feeds the entire world for 8 days a year.
How many acres?
100,000.
100,000 hectares.
Barbecue has to be included in a celebration.
Barbecue, like asado.
Asado, if you have the sausages.
Chorizo, morcilla, eat this all day. And I will.
Plus barbecue, you are complete.
It's good.
Oh, that's awesome. So were there a lot of vegetarians in this part of Paraguay? I don't know.
Oh, there comes what is for the Paraguayans the highlight.
Oh, look at that. It's pretty. Beef short ribs are amazing. So good. All of the books I read about Paraguay are maybe 15 years old. And like the first advice is, everybody has a gun, buy a gun.
Cambió mucho en el gobierno, cambió mucho en la economía, cambió mucho en lo que piensa, en la mentalidad.
Mentality. This was not the Paraguay I expected.
It's
at
too
all.
different.
He wants to sing a song for you.
A welcome song to the foreign people.
It not says welcome stranger. It says welcome brother stranger.
Asuncion, venido señor de otras playas, mi tierra está llena de cordialidad, un paisano al pasarle la mano es un libro abierto de cordialidad, para ir oír
The Jean Bourdain who died here in Asuncion was my great-great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
This old cemetery, Recoleta,
I mean, it seems most likely that he was buried there.
Nobody I know.
it's very, very likely that the tomb was just overbuilt. Right. Something on top.
Para Iro y Botacorípe, mucha suerte, cariño y amor. Manduaca tu etererajata, mil recuerdos de Paraguarí.
So I'm trying to understand Buenos Aires, and I've only got a week.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha.
kind of amazing they work, you know? I look at a plane, I'm figuring, I understand scientifically how they fly, but it doesn't look like it should work.
No, it doesn't.
That's a big hunk of metal.
Yeah.
And who are these people? Are they waiting for friends to arrive, or no? They're just here looking at planes.
Yes, it's popular. You come here and you watch a couple of planes come and go.
The whole family.
Yeah.
Buenos Aires, capital of Argentina, second largest country in South America. It's got a quirky, unique character all its own. It looks like no other place, and it feels unlike any other.
Silence.
Yeah, right? It's very pretty here. I mean, it's really beautiful. I'm glad I came in the summer. It's when it's quiet. It's got sort of a mournful, sad, sweet quality that I like. Fits with the architecture. Where does everybody go? Like now, where is everybody?
The city's empty. The month of January, everyone go for holidays.
January and February are the hottest months here, middle of summer. And most porteños who can afford it get out of town to cooler climes.
They go to Uruguay or Mar del Plata, which is our beach, or to Patagonia, or to the north. I have a home in Patagonia. Far away from any restaurant. It has no internet, no electricity, no phone.
I mean, it's a little antisocial. For a guy who's a communicator, you're all over television.
Yeah, I'm not very social.
Chef-restaurateur Francis Mallmann is one of the biggest and most influential figures in Latin American gastronomy. A TV star, head of a restaurant empire, and now in middle age, gives delightfully few shits about anything unimportant.
This is a restaurant I love, Carlitos. He serves you whatever he has. There's no menu.
Of all the places in the world that Francis Mallmann can eat and has eaten, it's this place he wanted to take me to. Bourdain Don Carlitos.
It's him and his wife in the kitchen with the two daughters. There's nobody else, and they've been open for 45 years.
An unassuming family-run joint across from the soccer stadium.
So who are the customers ordinarily?
You know, it doesn't have prices. It's fun because you see very simple people, and if you look sort of wealthy and elegant, you will get a big check, and if not, you'll get a small check. That's the way it works. This is Carlitos. Carlitos.
What do you do, sir?
Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, beautiful. I will have this guy.
There are gods here besides tango and football, or soccer as we call it. There's beef. Porteños, as residents of Buenos Aires, are called like beef, and meat in general, but particularly beef.
That's fantastic. Man, I love this place already.
Yes, I love meat. I eat meat every day. La morcilla.
Now that's exciting. This is one of my favorite things on earth.
Le Bourdain.
Love it. No, it's a proud country. I mean, one of the stereotypes is that Argentines are too proud, that they're full of themselves, vain, proud. If this is so, why is psychotherapy so huge in this country? This is the kingdom of doubt.
You know, my kids have been to the shrink since they're 8 for a year or two. We just, go to the shrink and talk to someone who you don't know.
Right.
With whom you can say whatever you want. I did it myself a couple of years when I was 30.
I mean, it's an extraordinary thing because in many cultures, to confess that you need to even confide in someone is seen as a sign of weakness. Here, everybody does it and in no way frowned upon it. It's kind of cool. Because I could use somebody. I need somebody to talk to.
Have you ever done it?
I was a teenager, My parents caught me with drugs, and as part of the deal to stay out of trouble, I saw a therapist briefly.
Meet Mariana, my therapist. Argentina has the distinction of being home to more head shrinkers per capita than anywhere else in the world.
So, Tony, what brought you here?
What brought me here? Well, things have been happening. Like, I will find myself in an airport, for instance, and I'll order an airport hamburger. It's an insignificant thing. It's a small thing. It's a hamburger, but it's not a good one. Suddenly, I look at the hamburger and I find myself in a spiral of depression that can last for days. George Orwell said something that really upset me. He talked about human beings are essentially tubes into which we shove food. And this is my job. I travel around the world with these people, and they turn on the cameras, and then for a certain period of time, my job is to shove food into my face. And
what's wrong with that?
You have to eat.
Look at that. Dude, they're just not messing around here, right?
It's beautiful.
I mean,
No, it's perfect food.
wow. I mean, it's really unnecessarily delicious. What kind of food is this? Where is it rooted?
Between Italy and Spain, and then a bit in the gaucho too with the meat, the way he cooks it. And La Boca, this neighborhood, is very Italian. They say that this is where tango was born, in this little street 2 blocks away here called Caminito.
And where does that come from emotionally? The need for tango, why here?
Tango is extremely sad. It's about love, about despair, it's about poverty. And the dance, I think, is one of the most elegant dances in the world, you know, when they barely move and suddenly they stop. When they stop, you know, you tremble because you feel that the man is sort of inside of her almost. And then he goes on.
It's crushingly lonely. I travel over 200 days a year. So I had this dream again that I've had as long as I can remember. I'm stuck in a vast, old Victorian hotel with endless rooms and hallways, trying to check out, but I can't. I spend a lot of time in hotels, but this one is menacing because I just can't leave it. There's another part to this dream, always, where I'm trying to go home, but I can't quite remember where that is.
Are you alone?
I'm alone in this dream, yes.
In my heart, what I like of Buenos Aires in Argentina is that we take time to sit down and have lunch every day.
Tony, yeah, I'm always hungry.
And they finish lunch and they stay at the table for 1 hour more with their friends. And then they go to work or they have a siesta.
Then nap.
And then a nap.
Very important.
Yeah.
Totally, I'm on board with that.
On the outskirts of town, in the roaring summer heat, the fires still burn hot. The tempting miasma of meat fills the mid-afternoon air. On the parrilla, many parts of once living things sizzle and char for the pleasure of those porteños who remain in town. Like Mariana, my new therapist.
Wow, what?
Wow.
Wow, I don't think that's enough.
Meat is king, and fire, and we shall go hard in honoring the flame.
God, I don't know where to attack this first.
All of us, we call it achuras.
Achuras.
Kidney,
Right.
sausage, which is chorizo, black sausage, which is the morcilla here.
And this is the famous intestine, right?
After a week or two here, even confirmed carnivores like myself will fall to their knees, praying for a vegetable.
So, is this normal, like lunch for people?
Yes.
Tell me, what did you do during your time in Buenos Aires?
Ate a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Do you have any vegetables in this country at all?
You know, there are a lot of vegetarian people here.
Yeah, right.
And they...
Chicken.
A chicken is a vegetable, isn't it?
Why is therapy so big in Argentina? Because, I mean, the country also has this gaucho tradition, a very macho tradition.
Yes, that's what therapy is for. They can do it there.
They can. So it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
See, as New Yorkers, we tell each other, you tell strangers all of your problems. We overshare.
Well, people here don't overshare.
No. I feel like a Quasimodo, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
If he stayed in nice hotel suites with high thread count sheets, that would be me. I feel kind of like a freak, and I feel very isolated. I communicate for a living, but I'm terrible at communicating with people I care about. I'm good with my daughter. An 8-year-old is about my level of communication skills, so that works out.
Oh, my God.
That was just the vegetable course.
Yes.
Later, I'm gonna have a nap. That would be a porteño thing to do. Like after, yeah, have a nice.
Well, it's more like people from the provincias, from the.
Right. Well, that's me. I'm a country. No, I'm not. I'm not a country boy.
No, you're a city boy.
I'm a city boy, but I do like naps. So regular people, all summer long, you're stuck in Buenos Aires. What do you do?
Go for a barbecue. Go out for dinner. We have a lot of shows and concerts and music.
So what's the best season, the best time of year for you? The best money, the best business?
That is summer.
In the summer?
Summer, yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
What? Because it's tourists.
European people, or from the north, from the States, Canada.
Right.
It's cold now, they come into the summer.
Right.
All hail the waiter, the career server, that great disappearing species of proud, well-trained specialists, members of the service industry who trace their roots back to the great hotels of Europe and beyond into history. Those who remain, like this man Mario, we salute you.
So how many years in the dining room? A lot.
Yeah, I started when I was 70 years old in a restaurant.
17?
17 years.
The people who work in the kitchen, one type of personality. The people in the dining room, you need to be more sociable.
I like very much to speak with whole people from the whole world. And I speak English, German, I speak German very well, Italian, Portuguese.
A friend of mine who's worked in the business a long time, he tells me, whenever a man comes into the restaurant with a woman, they never say, oh, Mr. Good to see you again.
No.
You don't know if the woman is his wife or someone else. And if you say, oh, so good to see you again, they say, what do you mean again? I thought you said you'd never been here.
I remember when I was 18 years old, I was in a restaurant working, come a man with his wife and say, how are you, Dr. Rodriguez?
Right.
Always do you go to the nightclub?
Ooh.
That man want chili.
Right, big problem now.
No, of course, no, never must say that.
If you're a cheap tipper, by the way, or rude to your server, you are dead to me. You are lower than whale feces.
20, 30 years ago, waiting was a profession.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Everybody learned certain skills. If you need to bone out a fish, serve the fish at the table side.
I make everything.
Right. So steak flambe.
Yeah.
No problem.
No problem, no.
Right. Crepe Suzette?
Crepe Suzette, of course. Everything I do it, yeah.
All of this, of course.
Yeah, I know.
Fold the napkins.
Yeah, all that shit. I remember when I started in Rome, there was 5 captains, 6 waiters, 5 assistant waiters, sommelier, assistant sommelier. It was quite different. Nowadays it's more simple. All come in dish, they put them finish, yeah.
In France, no more. You don't see it.
No more, no?
No, in the Michelin restaurants, you don't see it.
Nowadays people are more simple, yeah.
Because they're easy.
Yeah, yeah. Easy, very easy. They say, give me red wine, give me white wine, no problem which one. This work was I do it as waiter, slowly melting away. That's it, finished, I suppose, 15 years or 20 years more, it's finished.
To the old style. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Porteños see themselves as? I mean, do they say, well, I'm Argentine, I'm from Argentina, or do they say, well, my people came from Italy, or my people came from...
We are from Spain. The Porteño itself, they think that is from another planet. No, I'm Porteño, I'm from Buenos Aires. I'm different from anybody else.
I tell stories for a living. I write books. I make television. A reasonable person does not believe that you are so interesting that people will watch you on television. I think this is evidence of a narcissistic personality disorder to start with.
Do you think you had a narcissistic personality before you start to be like a public person, or after that?
Before, I think before. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think always.
So
it's nothing to be done.
I know that the morning after you'll become a monster that brings me up and things about to blow. A monster. Monster! 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 Monster!
Spread of so many thoughts, Buenos Aires. You have, the life of the musicians, which is very important here, the tango, all the artists. Then you have sort of the corporate world, which is always boring. And on the other edge, you have in the very poor neighborhoods all these hundreds of thousands of children that run behind a ball and they want to be soccer players. And they have a dream, it's all they have. And they know the faster they run, the harder they hit that ball, the better they move around it, maybe they will get it.
Chef, you do this all the time?
Like once a week.
This late at night?
Yes.
It's way too late for me.
Restaurant subculture, depending on where you are, can revolve around a number of activities, not all of them wholesome in my experience. The business is hard, the hours are long, the camaraderie intense. After a long day and night of work, the mind turns to soccer? Okay, this is a distinguishing feature I was frankly unprepared for.
So everyone here work for you?
Well, we have like 2 teams, He's the chef of Le Grill. It's a parrilla.
Yes.
And Klaus like 2 blocks, we have Chila, and I'm the chef.
So of course.
And we have the 2 teams.
Right.
Chef Soledad Nardelli, along with her husband and business partner, owns and operates Chila Restaurant, where she still works the line.
We, as a country, we are ignorant of our culture, traditions. We have a lot of products, not only meat.
Un bife solo a punto, por favor.
It's 1 a.m., and tonight it's a blood match between the crews of Chila and its sister restaurant, Le Grill.
We share a lot of products with Peru, Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay. We have the big influence of immigrants like Germans, Swiss people, Netherlands. So that is our identity.
Rich traditions.
Yeah. Do you want a drink?
What do you have?
We have Fernet.
Fernet.
We've been drinking a little bit.
Oh, good.
We are used to drink aperitifs,
Right.
the digestives. It's good for your stomach.
Right.
You know?
So it's healthy.
Yes.
I ain't playing no soccer. Alcohol and meat in tube form, however, are more familiar to me.
The chorizos are homemade. 40% pork, 40% cow, and all the cuts are dry aged. So
Sweet. So it's got some funk.
yeah.
I don't know whether it's the television or the 30 years in the restaurant business. I never understood how normal people lived. You know, when I was a chef, I worked all day. I hung out all night with other cooks, other restaurant people. You know, like I really love like barbecuing on vacation in the backyard. I love cooking for my daughter. I like doing these really normal, mundane things because I never got to do them before.
So you've been in the restaurant business a long time?
I started here in Buenos Aires
Right.
18 years ago.
Right, but wait a minute. Cooking was not your original plan. What was the original plan?
Law.
Was law.
Yes.
Yeah. But why would you do such a foolish thing? I mean, there's no money in cooking most of the time. Back then, it was a business dominated entirely by men.
I was not feeling good with myself, you know? I said, maybe I'm going to be a really good lawyer, but I'm not going to be happy in my life.
So right away you said, okay, I'm going to cook. And you went to Bocuse, to Institute Paul Bocuse?
Yes, at Lyon. Yes.
Yes, it's a tough school.
Yeah.
Very, very traditional.
For me, the experience of France was really hard.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You know, Latin American woman from Argentina, speaking less few French. I cry all night. Called my mom, and she told me like, Sole, go on, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I always said, when I have the opportunity of running my own kitchen, I'm not going to repeat any of the things that they did to me. So, till now, I did it okay, you know?
Good for you. You know, all these tough guys, they're all big babies anyway. Like the first women who came into kitchens when I started, back when it was all men, one woman would come in and pretty soon all the guys are like going crying to them with their problems. It's like, you know, please be my mommy, you know, tell me what to do, you know.
I think we're ready for chorizos, eh? Thank you so much.
The delicious, delicious choripan is an iconic street food around here for reasons that are immediately obvious once you bite into one.
Oh, that's good. I needed this badly.
This is Argentinian style. It's beer with Coke.
Beer? No, that's wrong, man. No.
I'm old for this.
Who's here?
summer, right?
Well, that's a very interesting question. A lot of lower class people that cannot go out for a holiday,
Right.
they stay here
Make
and
their own
they
holiday.
make the party happen in their own neighborhood.
Now, how long is Carnival season here?
And it goes on every weekend for a month.
A month?
Yeah.
Carnival is different in Argentina, decidedly different. In every barrio in Buenos Aires, there are celebrations, with over 100 murgas, as they're called, taking to the streets, traveling from barrio to barrio by bus, doing their thing.
So they're like neighborhood teams?
Yes, every neighborhood has one or two of these murgas,
Right.
and they start in one neighborhood and then go to another and then go to another, and it's healthy competition between every neighborhood.
These guys are Murga Los Amantes. They're from La Boca, which according to the guidebook is an old industrial neighborhood in the Port District known for historic buildings and no small amount of crime.
Is it like a parade, a block party?
It's a little bit of each. This is not like Rio Carnival.
Right.
You have a huge parade with lots of money in.
Right. You know, we do a lot of different scenes, most of the meals, or I drive sports cars, I jump out of planes. But there are a few things that terrify me. Carnivals. I'm afraid of clowns. Horrified. People dancing, crowds. You know, I've lived a long life without ever going to Carnival in Rio or Mardi Gras. I don't like it. There's something frightening about crowds, too. I mean, what if they all decide to do one thing at the same time? It starts as a party, 5 minutes later, it's like Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pity that you couldn't enjoy the whole carnival stuff.
Yeah. Okay, this is perfect for me. I'm sitting down, I'm drinking beer. It's all right, honestly.
It has a common roots with Brazilian Carnival and Uruguay Carnival, but in each place took a different way. In Brazil, it was more for the spectacle and the lights. And here, it's more about the pride of the neighborhood.
Thank you for that. this romanticism, this sadness, this love of sadness. What was it about the history of Argentina that allowed this to take root?
From a difficult life. From a life, living in a little room, but always with the glory and the dream of the night out, of the man who has his beautiful hat for Saturday night. And then next morning, reality's back.
Who's left in the city? Who else stays?
Who else stays?
Well, construction workers.
Construction workers. This building, it's a big one. It's 18 stories.
Right.
It's in the middle of Capital Federal, from the center of Buenos Aires.
Right.
So it's going to be an expensive building.
So who's going to live here?
I don't know. People with money.
I mean, how's the economy?
The economy, it's crazy. It's
some people doing good, some people not doing good.
Yeah, the middle class has been disappearing.
They tell me that everybody in Argentina sees a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Is this true?
It's true.
Everybody?
Yeah. Well, not everybody. People that can afford it, but...
Right.
So, let's go back to the first question I asked. What brought you here?
I'd like to be happy. I'd like to be happier. I should be happy. I have, incredible luck.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be able to, look out the window and say, hey, life is good.
And you don't?
No. I'm not going to get a lot of sympathy from people, frankly. I mean, I have the best job in the world, let's face it. I go anywhere I want. I do what I want. Look, that guy over there loading sausages on the grill, that's work. This is not so bad. It's all right. I'll make it.
Yeah.
If people work hard like they do in construction, it is expected that they be well-fed. And in Buenos Aires, well-fed means, yeah, you guessed it.
How often do they do this?
Once a week, on Fridays. They used to do it every day, but economic, the meat is really expensive.
Expensive now.
I always remember, walking on the street and you just smell
You smell it from the construction sites?
Yeah.
So most construction sites, they do like this?
Everyone.
Nico, lead singer of Octophonic.
Hola.
Like nearly every porteño,
Sweet.
He knows good beef
Gracias.
and where to find it.
It's good. Unless you work hard, you need a big hunk of meat.
It's, from the low chain of the meat, but it really has a lot of fat, and it's
Right. Good for you.
Yeah. He says that we need some wine, red wine.
Yeah, right.
I saw some construction sites that they have.
They serve wine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
I guess the owners of this construction especially are strict about it.
I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, of course.
Guys up on the top floor
50
drinking.
meters. Yeah.
So where are most of these guys from?
¿Son todos de acá ustedes? ¿O paraguayo también? ¿Vos sos paraguayo? We got one from Paraguay here. A lot from Argentina.
From Buenos Aires or from outside of Buenos Aires?
Usually from inside, from the provinces.
And how long has the job lasted?
I was asking, it started 1.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time. How much work is there? A lot, a little? I mean, after this, another job?
¿Tienen trabajo después de esto, no? ¿Terminan este y van a otro? Yeah, I guess they jump from construction to construction.
So they're working regular, always?
Yeah.
Seguir y seguir la huella. Es demasiado aburrido. Seguir y
It's hard to get back to work after having...
Yeah, I just want to go home and sleep.
de mi carreta, nunca los voy a engrasar.
flying out, in just a few hours.
And you're going now next to Rome? It's such a beautiful city.
No, next, Brazil. Then to Japan, Nashville, Vietnam, Houston. You know, like there's the evil cheeseburger that sets me off, the evil hamburger. Suddenly I'm super depressed for days. It's like that with the good stuff too. I have a couple of happy minutes there where I'm thinking, life is pretty good. This is cool. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. It's like the movies, but cheaper.
Yeah, right?
The pilot of the airplane saying hi to the kids.
Wow. What's in the box, man? What's in there?
Here we have Amargo Obrero, which is like workman's bitter. It's a kind of vermouth.
Yeah, I'll have some of that.
So, how are you doing therapy?
My therapy? Oh, I feel all better now.
Yeah?
All better. What do you think? How, I mean, is there hope for me?
Wow.
Oh, boy. Oh, that doesn't sound promising.
I think what is good is that you start thinking or keep thinking about what's wrong in your life, what do you want to change, and especially what do you feel you can't change.
I was kind of hoping for a prescription for, like, morphine. Was this an unreasonable expectation?
I think you should keep doing therapy too.
Yeah, me too. You're probably right.
Yes.
I love staying in Buenos Aires in summer, when the streets are empty. I love the city. I was born here, this huge metropolis, where a lot of cultures melt. People from all Latin America, people from Asia, people from Europe. The personality of Buenos Aires is made from the melt of cultures.
When I get back to New York, I'll tell you, I'm going to get off that plane, I'm going to make myself a big salad. Excuse me, kid. What? Sorry for the language.
All right. What do you say we get some sausages?
Yeah.
good. Man, that is good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Oh, man, really good. It's really good, by the way. This is good. So good. Beautiful. It's amazing. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, man. There we go. Life is good.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la. Alô, bateria nota 1000! Arrepia, Brasil!
Chances are you have never been here. In fact, it is likely that you may never have even heard of this place. Tourists don't really come here. There are few hotels, no major attractions.
É o Minas Cap.
The state of Minas Gerais, Brazil. It's about the size of France, covered by farmland, mountains, and savanna. Belo Horizonte is the capital, a center for the Brazilian banking and tech industry. A planned city, built in the late 1800s. 5 million people live in the metropolitan area. It's one of the fastest growing cities in Brazil, in the world in fact. Yet it's still relatively unknown to the outside world. But if you travel through Brazil and you talk about food, which I have and I do, you hear about this place. You hear about it seemingly a lot. I've been told time and again, this is where the best chefs come from. The question is, why don't you hear that outside of Brazil? Why hasn't the cuisine of Minas caught on worldwide?
The spots here are made of chalkstone. My grandmother still cooks on them.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to her place, you got a lot of those.
Chef Leo Paixão is also asking that question. Born and raised here, he grew up cooking traditional Mineira cuisine and went on to study in France under the likes of Joël Robuchon. Now he's back with his own place, Glouton.
So we are at the central market at Belo Horizonte. Minas Gerais is the central state, and we share with every other state around. So it's very democratical here. The people come here, they can have a haircut, they can buy like live-in chicken or a good cheese from France.
If Minas is the heart of Brazilian cooking, then the Mercado Central is the heart of Minas. It's the place where everybody shops, including chefs like Leo, who are focused on giving Mineiro's products the attention they deserve.
This is a country where there's a lot of fruit that I've never seen outside of Brazil.
Yeah.
A lot of it's super perishable too. Like even if you wanted to export it, it just doesn't really last.
We're getting to picky season now.
Oh yeah.
And people get like overwhelmed by it. They eat it like
every day.
Every day.
The infamous pequi, loved and hated in equal measure. It's described by both camps as tasting sweaty or like a barnyard. And if you bite too deep, you get a mouthful of hundreds of nanospikes requiring professional extraction.
And if you dig into the pit, big problem.
Big problem.
There's just this thin layer on the outside.
Thin layer, and it's so strong. Our vegetables. She's my supplier. So this is taioba, this big tropical leaf here.
This is the kind of fundamental Mineiro ingredient you didn't find in restaurants here until recently.
It's part of like the forgotten vegetables. They used to eat it out of the yard because it grew all around.
How do you cook it?
Just boil it like for 15 seconds with water and a little butter. It's meaty. It's got a meat like chew on it. It resists a bit, then it breaks down like meat.
Tá aí o japonês fez isso comigo lá na roça. Aponta lá quadro, lá todo tamanho.
Now went to France to study culinary after I graduated in medicine, and I just loved so much to cook. And then I came back and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna cook French food here. I started Glouton to be a French restaurant, but it's impossible to have good French products here in Brazil. So I started to use the products from the region. The flavor of Mineiro cuisine is so intense, and then we were raised eating that. Right. That's such a new gastronomy. I started to cook like pork snack, oxtail, and I fell in love with those products. Because if I don't cook it, who's gonna cook it?
You have good products, right?
Yeah.
So why not use them?
Yeah.
Bar del Ora is named after its owner, also known as the Blonde, who was the first woman to run a bar in the Mercado Central. It's a place to order a cold beer, wedge yourself shoulder to shoulder into a small table, and order this. You want this, by the way.
This place is famous for...
This place is famous for liver with jiló. Jiló is something very important for us. It's like an eggplant, but it's green, and you need to eat it while it's still green. Because if it ripens, it gets so bitter you can't eat it.
All the food here is like if you bite too far into the pit, it stabs you. If you eat it at the wrong time, it poisons you.
Kind of dangerous stuff, huh?
Lyon has Paul Bocuse. Minas has Chef Ivo Faria, owner of Vecchio Sogno. He's the godfather of Mineiro cuisine.
No meu restaurante, à época, cozinha mineira era muito difícil.
Only the foreigner cuisine was good, was considered good here.
Da forma que o Brasil foi desenvolvido, o que acontece? Os próprios brasileiros muitas vezes não valorizavam o que é nosso.
So he started in kitchen, he didn't want to be cook, he wanted to be a waiter.
Depois que eu terminei meu primeiro ano de preparação, eu descobri que pessoa de cor não podia ser garçom no Brasil.
So he was chosen to go to the kitchen.
What year, how long ago did the customers start to want Mineiro food?
Mesmo em 1979, eu se tornei chefe do melhor restaurante de Belo Horizonte. Sempre utilizei produtos mineiros.
In Mineiro cuisine, always your grandmother cooks better than your chef. When they eat it, they're so emotional about it, they fell in love with it, and they accept it very well.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. Cheers. Cachaça geralmente arde. Para beber, inspira.
Minas is a central state, landlocked. You want to hit the beach, and it's a 7-hour bus ride to Rio. That, or you come here, Beach Station. No beach, hire a water truck. Economy in the shitter, turn up the music and dance. It's known here as the Little Slippery Way. You adapt, you survive, no matter what, you have a good time, and you don't go it alone. It's a philosophy that carries over to the botecos. They're basically neighborhood joints found all over Brazil, serving beers, cachaça, and a few homemade dishes. Places like this one, Bar do Coca.
What are the requirements that define a boteco?
It's a place where the family is behind the counter, full-time.
Mom and pop.
Mom and papa, yeah.
Eduardo Maia is a self-taught gastronome and paterfamilias of the boteco scene here. Luis Otavio, a beverage tycoon who specializes in the legendary cachaça of Minas Gerais.
If the boteco is good, people come all over town. It's like a home outside our home.
It's a group therapy.
What do you talk about?
We talk about everything but business.
Sports?
Jokes, sports, women, food.
Eduardo had previous incarnations as a banker and then as an entrepreneur. But he threw it all out in 2000 to start the Comida do Boteco, an annual competition for botecos. It's a big deal here, and it raised botecos from male-dominated dirty glass joints to the centerpiece of the Mineira social scene.
So what's on the menu?
Boteco in Minas, it's a bit like the Italian. We eat a lot of pork here. But the important thing about the botecos in Minas is that they serve root food for Minas Gerais.
So what are we having today?
I think we're having tongue, of course, ox tongue.
Right. I'm intrigued. What?
Would you like some tripe as well?
I think a little tripe as well.
Would you like some hand of the pig?
Yes. Yes.
So now you're gonna go deep inside Minas.
I'm happy. Yes.
Okay. Cadê o...
Ox tongue cooked with basil, mint, and pepper. Feijão tropeiro, perhaps the most famous dish in Minas. Beans, manioc flour, smoked and cured meats, and if you're lucky, fresh eggs.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. There we start. That's the tongue, ox tongue.
Yep.
That's the foot, the pig's
Right.
foot. May I?
Yes, please.
The food from Minas Gerais has nothing to do with our climate.
Yeah, you're right.
Nothing.
This is cold weather food.
Yes. Smell is nice.
Yeah, right?
It's a very comfort food, isn't it? He prepares the tongue.
Beautiful.
Every step does it.
You have a great culinary tradition here of flavors. You have fantastic ingredients. But in upper class Belo Horizonte, people that are insecure about their food. Until recently. Where did this come from?
It's a plague. Italian and French food.
I used to say it's a complex.
Right.
Like a trauma from who colonized us. So they impose it.
Right.
We have excellent products. Good products in France. They make good food in France with their products. But here, let's make the same technique, but with our products. We started saying, listen, this is good, put in your restaurant. Pequi is good. They were ashamed to eat pequi.
This attachment to the idea that French food and Italian food will always be more valuable than your own thing. It's a ridiculous concept.
We Mineiros, we don't talk much. We don't go on the top of our mountain and start to spread the word. We have good food. We are very quiet people. You have to discover us. But we have the best.
Pergunte por mim, longe de você. Veja como é triste viver. Sei que você chão, quando flutuar, já não mais existe eu cantar. Pergunte por mim, longe de você. Veja como é triste.
The story of Mineira cuisine, you could argue, starts with the gold rush, the world's first, in fact. In the late 1600s, alluvial gold was found in the mountainous rivers of Minas. Over the next 100+ years, while Portuguese masters fanned themselves on the riverbanks, African slaves sifted billions in gold from the mud and earth. By the end of the 19th century, the deposits were exhausted, and about 500,000 Africans had been forced to make this country their home. Now Brazil has the largest African diaspora in the world. And though Brazil remains a country of rampant inequity, deeply divided along racial lines, African culture saturates all corners of the society. This is especially true of the food.
Looks good. Super.
Ele pode ver, por exemplo, que aqui em Minas não tem muito sal, não tem muita pimenta. A nossa comida é muito mais com sabor de alho, cebola, do que qualquer outro condimento, né?
Zora Santos is a practitioner of old-school Afro-Mineira cuisine. She traveled Europe as one of the first black Brazilian models in the 70s, but returned home to look inward, becoming an ambassador for independent black women in the kitchen and running her own catering business. Joining us at the table are Zora's daughter, Catarina, and friends Ulu Akanruli and Cida Heiss.
Well, how African is Brazilian cuisine in general?
99%.
90%. What do you think white Brazilians, would they say the same thing?
Né? É muito interessante isso.
Mas se perguntar qual é a comida que eles mais gostam, eles vão dizer da feijoada, do tropeiro mineiro, do frango com quiabo. São comidas de descendência africana.
Zora prides herself on preparing food in the tradition of the enslaved African women who were, in her view, the matriarchs of Minera cuisine. She cooks with a serious focus on vegetables and greens, ingredients from the yard, basically what her predecessors had to work with, and applies West African technique. This is anju, a dish simply made of cornmeal and water or milk, cooked for hours. There's ora pranobis, a native green, very rich in protein. It was known as the poor people's meat, and its use dates back to colonial times when African cooks had to make do with very limited resources. Pork has always been common to this area where people raised and still raise their own pigs to butcher. Ribs are on the menu today, and I am not complaining.
But look, everything that Brazilians claim to love is African, right? I mean, the music, the food, all of the classic dishes. Do you feel, given how central everything African is to Brazil and Brazilian identity, do you feel that Afro-Brazilians have political representation?
No.
No, nobody. It's like nobody had. Let me think. No.
Nem política, nem acadêmica, econômica, não.
Why?
Não.
Why?
Agora fez a pergunta, por quê, né?
Why?
Why? Por que eu respondo?
Everything African is so fundamental to everything that makes Brazil awesome. I mean, I could say the same thing about the United States, but look.
O catolicismo, o rico não passa no fundo da agulha, não tem uma coisa assim.
Tem o sermão do padre Vieira, que é da época da colonização, que ele dizia que todo esse sofrimento imposto ao negro era para garantir o seu lugar no céu.
The Catholic and the Protestants, they have the same ideology that the black people, right, should
Be satisfied now because it'll pay off later.
Yeah,
We'll get you next time.
Exactly.
But you had huge success as a model. How did this?
Não se encaixa.
She said it's not fit.
It
Não
doesn't
se
fit.
encaixa, Era muito mais folclore e exótico do que qualquer outra coisa. Pergunta pra ele, por favor, se ele conhece a história da Vênus Negra. Você sabe quem é?
Vênus.
Vênus. Aquela mulher.
Refresh my memory.
Uma que foi levada para a Inglaterra e ela era exposta toda noite, porque ela era uma mulher gorda, uma negra, e ela era exposta no circo como uma aberração. Essa época de modelo, eu me vejo muito dessa forma.
But you don't think it meant anything? Did it not in any way redefine what is beautiful?
Foi. Para muita gente foi importante. Não redefinir, mas pelo menos olhar para várias belezas, né? Fala que essa outra questão eu tenho que resolver com o meu psicólogo.
Ok.
Pra ficar na boa cachorra, eu ia perguntar Dog Roca, eu vou ao samba que você me convidou. Dog Roca, eu vou, Dog Roca, eu vou ao samba que você me convidou.
About 60 kilometers outside Belo Horizonte, you're in the jungle. Deep, thick, loud jungle. And buried within that seemingly hostile environment, you'll find one of the most curious and extraordinary places in all of Brazil. Inhotim, a massive Jurassic Park for contemporary art, stuck smack dab in the middle of seemingly nowhere. A place that will make you say, what the hell is this doing here?
This museum has put Minas Gerais in the world art map. Everybody that is in contemporary art today knows this place or have heard about this place. Well,
Beatriz Lemos de Sá is an art dealer who represents Brazilian artists based in Belo.
this is Tunga Pavilion. Tunga is one of the major contemporary artists in Brazil. He started his work in the 70s, and he has also this revolutionary side, and he likes the transgression. So that's why he uses all kinds of material, things that can be very strange for you as you see them.
So Tunga would be very comfortable with this venue.
Completely. He's the one who inspired Bernardo to build this place as a museum.
Bernardo would be Bernardo Paz, mining magnate, billionaire, and the eccentric visionary who created this, well, place, for lack of a better word. In the 1980s, he started buying up the land surrounding his house to keep developers from destroying the landscape. Then he opened his doors to contemporary artists, offering them both the financial resources to make art and this otherworldly home for their work.
In the early days, this used to be the family farm, ranch.
Yeah,
and
yes.
he started collecting himself.
Yes, he started collecting modern art.
Right.
And then eventually he started changing for contemporary art because he thought this was the moment. You have to be very brave and courageous and to have to be a visionary to do what he did. In my opinion, he's a madman because nobody does something so big, so great.
You clearly set out to make something truly extraordinary, enormous, mind-boggling scale. Did this grow organically, or was there a plan?
No, never had a plan. I'm a guy who have a dream, and I want to do the dream, and I do. But I do with risk. With risk, because I do for the people, not for the money.
This place is massive, consisting of 24 larger-than-life pavilions set on a 5,000-acre botanical garden. It holds over 500 works from contemporary artists. Setting aside the cost of building this sprawling utopian vision and financing the art, it costs more than $10 million annually to keep the place running, and only a small portion of that is covered by tickets purchased by visitors.
You could create a gallery space anywhere in the world, and those would be more accessible, and more people would come. You chose here, relatively isolated. Do you like people?
Yes, I like people, but I like more to see the people happy. And to see they come to me, I construct here a state of mind.
Is it important at all that the people who come here understand art? Does it matter? Someone comes and looks at Matthew Barney or Chris Burton. They understand. You think rich, poor, farmer.
No way. Children.
Everybody
Poor
understands.
children, they understand. I want to ask you one question. When you was children, how the first drawing you did in your life? You did a mountain, a sun, a small house, river.
Yes, a hill with a house and a sun, probably.
Yes, yes. This is inside you. Why you did this drawing?
Well, I think we
Because
all,
this is
at the
too-
end, we all want to live on a mountain in a house with a sun, don't we?
In the end, no, in the beginning.
So in 50 years, what do you want people to say about you?
Nothing.
You don't care?
I don't care. I died. My life is risk and continue to be a risk and will continue.
But after, do you care? Do you care about your legacy? You've created this enormous.
I don't believe.
Important.
You
don't believe it.
I don't believe what
I don't either.
did.
I don't believe it at all.
I live. You have to know why you came to be like you are.
The Mountain Farm, where Minera cuisine was born and raised. You grow up on a farm like this and you grow up eating food that would be called in more urban settings artisanal. You raise your own animals, you slaughter, clean, butcher, and cook them yourself. Greens, chickens, pigs, fruit, everything is at hand. The food of the yard. And eventually it all ends up here at the wood stove, the center of the Minera kitchen. And when you put the food on the table, you make sure there's enough for everybody. Family, friends, and the stray lucky bastard who might wander up to the table at the right time. How is Minas different than the rest of Brazil?
I think because we were a land made by people that came here for gold, the workers, they had to help each other. So we are a really farm state, And this kind of change of helping each other made the Mineiro people.
I think the biggest difference is, and it's a joke, I'm sure you've said it a million times, in Rio, somebody invites you to dinner, they don't tell you where they live. Right?
Yeah.
Here they seem to mean it.
We are just people who like to receive people, to invite people to our houses. We are people that we grew up cooking.
These guys grew up here in farm country. Now they're at the center of Belo's culinary scene. Felipe Hame, owner of Alma Chef and champion of Minera cuisine, and his friends and fellow chefs, Felipe Galastro, Fred Trindade, and Boy. They come back here to Galastro's family farm. They come back often to cook and eat, and of course, drink.
For me, one important thing from here, that we make food to share. I can't remember a dish that you make for
One person, just
for
for
you,
yourself,
for-
just for yourself or for a few. Everybody's gotta eat, you know? Everyone's gotta eat. Everyone is welcome.
Smoked pig's head with vegetables and chilies. Native green beans called andu, prepared with bacon and farofa.
Everybody here is a professional cook, chef?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, we all came to Europe to learn to be a cook. And then we came back to rediscover new ingredients, to...
Right back home.
Yeah.
Thai food is huge in the States. It's all over the world. Italian food is huge all over the world. French. But why do you think Brazilian food, real Brazilian food, does not have a higher profile internationally?
It's a hard question because all chefs, all the people who works with food, we think this every day.
We just have to figure out how to get the ingredients there.
Yeah.
This is a problem because a lot of the really amazing Brazilian products just don't travel. You
We
can't.
have a health department system that controls with an iron hand, you know?
I can tell that. I mean, it's tough.
We've got a lot of problems here in Minas with our cheese, because it's made of raw milk. But I never seen or heard anyone that even got sick by eating our cheese, by eating our blood sausages. We grew up eating that.
Shall we bring the meal?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And the pièce de résistance, frango, a mollo, pardon. Chicken and brown sauce baked in a clay pot, finished with the blood of chickens fresh killed this morning.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. All right.
Served with pequi rice, farofa, and of course, cachaça.
Cheers.
In Brazil, people say comer de joelhos.
Which means eat food of the...
Eat on your knees.
Eat on your knees.
Yeah. Just like saying prayers for the food, thanking the food.
What's the
Right in
hardest
our
part
backyard.
with the customers? What's the hardest thing to convince your customers?
Here, they don't like to pay.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay.
They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay for something that grandmother did.
They want to have world-class service, world-class food.
They don't like to spend that much money here. They spend a lot of money in Rio and São Paulo.
In New York.
Give it a French name, they'll pay.
Exactly.
This is Bruna Martins. She owns a restaurant, Birosca, where she cooks the food of her childhood, the food she learned from her grandmother and her nanny.
So when you're a kid here, your family obligates you to eat jiló.
Why?
Because I think it was to teach children to eat different flavors, different sensations.
Leo is a friend of Bruna's and of Maurice and Denise Hache, owners of D'Artagnan, one of the first ambitious fine dining restaurants in Belo to be owned and operated by women.
Was it particularly hard as women starting in the business 20 years ago?
No, when we began, there wasn't a lot of women chefs. And we decided to open a restaurant because we like to cook together.
I think nobody trusted us. We have many friends, they have restaurants, they are chefs, and they said, okay,
it's a hobby.
Okay, let them play a little bit.
Yes.
This won't last. And here we are.
I mean, in the States, in Europe, it was women cooked at home. In restaurants, however, this was man's work.
Obviously, the ones that cooked there were men. But they learned everything they learned was from their mothers.
The techniques and everything passed through the generations of women. So that's what it's all about here, I think, with Bruna.
Bruna makes a point of hiring women and only women to work in her restaurants, particularly black women, who she feels are the central, if largely unacknowledged figures in Mineira culinary culture for hundreds of years.
Hello, Jeff. Hi. Easy to find women cooks or hard?
Porque a comida que eu sirvo são elas que sempre fizeram nas suas casas. A comida mineira foi e sempre será feita por mulheres.
Now, wait a minute. Is this based on the quality of the dishes, or is this a philosophical decision to just hire other women?
Eu quero dar poder para elas, para cargo que elas sempre fizeram sem serem pagas.
Você me levou a sério.
Turkey neck, braised with butter and garlic, served in white beans topped with kale and pork belly.
I think this is Peru neck.
Yes, turkey neck.
Turkey neck.
Turkey neck, cool.
With her grandmother's knife.
What's left of it.
Yeah.
It used to be like this.
In Brazil, like in so many places we go, everything is just fine until it's not.
Sai daí, gente. Não, calma.
Eu não acredito nisso.
Não, pronto.
Não! Pelo amor de Deus, Denise, entra debaixo da mesa. Denise, assenta debaixo da mesa, Denise.
Oh my God.
I've never been in such a situation like that. I'm sorry.
But the guy was drunk.
Well, he stole the car, I guess.
Yes.
My director and camera guy, by the way, immediately tackled me to the floor and shielded me from the direction of the gun with their bodies. To which I say, thanks, guys, but dudes, your wives are going to be pissed.
You know, you're not the Secret Service. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you.
We had to protect you.
But just like that, it's back to the food and the conversation. Keep your glass full and your friends around you, and we'll make it through.
Quando é que ela vai sentar aqui?
Oh, wow.
Ah, this one is amazing.
Beautiful.
Cupim, or ox hump pot roast, served with mashed potatoes and farofa.
So why did you do something as difficult as open a restaurant?
Meu sonho sempre foi servir a comida da minha avó aqui.
Cooking is about joy and comfort. Cooking in a restaurant is about business. So is it still a joy?
Pratinho decorado, nas flores, no piano. Mas aqui eu coloco amor em tudo que eu faço.
At the end of a long night, decisions good and bad, friends old and new, a night spent playing or a night spent working. All across the world, wherever cooks stumble out of work late, there's a place like this. Nono, one of the few places that's open all night, serving the kind of thing that enlightened night dwellers everywhere want and need, like mocato.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Nice
Good to see you. What's up? It's a city that never sleeps. 24-hour mocato, right?
This place is very democratic because, like, everybody comes late at night. Taxi drivers, hookers, and cooks. Because
why is it that hookers and cooks always like are welcome at the same place? You know, we're the same social standing. I'm ready, man. I am hungry. I had nothing to eat all day.
Yeah?
I'm starving.
Mocato is the ultimate in broke-ass, drunk-ass peasant food. Slow-cooked cow's foot and/or other bits. Tender and tasty, and believe me, one of my favorites, especially at this hour. We opt for the elite version with a raw quail egg because, well, need I remind you of my confirmed record of egg sluttery?
Good stuff.
Wow. Nice. It's like the greatest thing ever.
So they serve 170 kilos of cow food every day.
So that's about 350 pounds, 340?
Yeah, cow food.
But all that good stuff ends up in here, man. That gelatin, man.
Yeah. The rotation, it's big, you know. People come in, have a beer, and go out. It's never too busy.
Right.
But it goes on 24 hours.
Acho que só duas, tá?
Sort of stout.
So it's a cow breed, caracu. And if you split the words, it means S-face. But like,
seriously,
it's not
S-face?
supposed to. S-face. It actually exactly the words.
So how was your dinner tonight? Were you busy?
You know what happened tonight? It came like 3 clients. A lady with her husband and her chef. And she said, oh, this is my chef. He's gonna eat, and me and my husband, we're not, because we're eating special food for detox. We're full of restrictions.
Right.
And we brought our soup. So if you can please heat my soup for me, because detoxing.
Detoxing from what? What heroin addict? I mean, just go home and do some more heroin.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tony.
Minas.
Thank you.
There's always somewhere that cooks come from. Usually it's the ass end of a country. Here, it's different. It's not just where the cooks are, but food and ingredients and some pretty amazing visual inspiration.